Alright guys, we're here today looking at Shiba Inu, and we're going to be looking at flags and their roles in making our predictions. So let's start with the earliest time. The earliest time here, we're going to use this biggest downside right here as our flagpole, and we are dropping into possibly a pinch. Hard to say until we see a little bit more. But let's see what it says for a downside dropping zigzag. And after a drop, our downward zigzag shows that it should be going back up. And for the day, we could use this middle spot here as a flagpole, but this actually does look to be in the middle of a flag pattern as in itself already. So take that into consideration when you're trying to find flags. You might be looking in the middle of one, you might be looking at the beginning or end of one. But this one here, there is some slight upward going into the bottom of this one here, and then there's a downward pinch going again, as before on the last one, showing that it should have a rise. And moving into the week, we have the same thing again, and like I said, where that big drop was in the middle of our week is right here, is where that drop was. But if we go for this part, for our upward flagpole, there is still some sort of upward angle coming down to a pinch. And as we know, going down, coming to a downward pinch is good. But let's double check and make sure going up and coming down to a pinch is good. And yes, it is. It shows it in two different ways. We have a slightly upward pinch showing that it's going to rise, a slightly downward pinch showing that it's going to rise, and I think there is one more. Now, okay, so if we're on this status and it is completely even across, it is showing a rise. I mean, really, after a full rise, any kind of downward pinch looks like it's going to go right back up. So all the signs are showing that it's going to go back up, but for the next hour or two, it does look like it could have a zigzag pattern. And I'm going to say the next two downsides will not go below 1359, which is only 7 points away. And I do believe it will hit 1360, 1361 on the downstreak that it is now. And we will see if that is correct here in the next hour or so. Until then, we will hang on. And before you buy, I actually do want to say you have to know your ins and outs. So I might have a $2.90 profit at the moment. And if I was to sell that, I would actually have a loss. So basically, for every point that 1366, instead of a dollar amount, that is 1366 points. For every point that it raises, 1367, I'm going to gain 45 cents. That's how I've got it set up with my quantity of shares. And basically, when I sell, if I sell all of my SHIB is 45 million, I have to sell it at 1359, which is 7 points below where it is now. In other words, at 1359 for 45 million times 0.1234, 1359 is 611.55. Now, even though I'm showing profit, if I'm going to take away $3.15, I'm actually going to have a loss of 25 cents if I sell at the current moment. So before you buy, know how much you're going to have to buy in above, which is on this one usually 8 points. When you sell, it's usually around 8 points. So you already have to make a 16-point difference just to break even. And you have to be able to say, I know it's going to rise, and I know it's going to rise past that. Alright guys, we are now at 12:45 and we have finally hit our down streak. Looks like it could go down another point or two, but any minute now it should turn around. And even though we can't see anything on the day because it just started, even if it does turn around, there could easily be another time where it drops, turns back around, drops again, and then goes up. We may not be able to see that by 2 a.m., but fingers crossed we get. Alright guys, I'm out for my last smoke, and it is just about time for me to go to bed, and I'll try to be back on around 8 to 9 o'clock in the morning to see the final result of how this turns out. And right now, let's take a quick look at the very moment. So if we zoom in, right here, it had its drop, and then, oh, there it is. We had our reverse head and shoulders right here, sending it back up. I still believe that this is going to continue to rise overnight. Question is, should you buy in right now? I will leave that up to you. If I was to have no money in it right now, looking like it's going to rise, I probably would buy, but I would not buy this amount. I bought this amount earlier when I saw strong signs of a rise. So, moving on to the week, we are at a resistance point, which that is one thing to mention. You should actually take another look at different videos from different channels talking about resistance and support points, because 1375 is one of the resistance or support point, and actually it was a little bit of both on both ends of it. So right now it's going to take a little bit of effort to try to get through that 1375, and once it does, we should see it climb for a few more points and then start another flag pattern after that. More on that later. I'm going to get ready for bed and check in on it in the morning. We'll see how it turns